So we have a question that came in. I'm an alchemist generator with inner authority of creative, so emotional solar plexus. So that's emotional authority, creative authority. I definitely feel actionable things in my solar plexus as opposed to my sacral. And I use kinesiology and my intuition to make decisions. I find this creative authority difficult due to not always getting the invitation to respond to my creative juices. Ooh, any nuances to help me navigate this? Okay, so this is a great question. Um, I would say for you with emotional authority, I think for anyone with a defined sacral, where I would always start is just simply getting reconnected to your sacral sound and to your sacral in your body. So, um, really just starting with getting in touch with what does a yes feel like in my sacral before we go to the emotional solar plexus, just what does a or a yes feel like for me? And then I always help people sort of apply that to more simpler decisions. Like, do you want to go outside right now? Did you eat broccoli today? And starting to just feel that sound come back online. Um, and then when you bring in your creative authority to that, I feel like a lot of people I know who have emotional definition, the key thing with that is to just giving yourself space and time to feel your yes and your no. And maybe it fluctuates. Maybe it sometimes, you know, it stays the same. And that is normally when you find your clarity. That is my yes, or that is my no. I think too, like you mentioned, just giving yourself space to move your creative energy to sometimes when people are feeling a little bit lower on your emotional wave, it's helpful to actually dive into that. It's helpful to actually um, give yourself space to write or listen to music or get creative in whatever way you like to, and let it kind of ride itself out rather than feeling like, oh no, I'm feeling lower on my wave. I don't feel clear. It's not necessarily needing to be a time of clarity, but rather, how can I just let this energy move and process through me? Um, and getting in sort of a rhythm or a practice of giving yourself that time regularly. I think also emotional definition, I feel that people start to get a sense of their wave of when they might feel more um, like on the optimal, like higher expression of like, I just got all this work done, or I really felt inspired and creative and clear, and then it sort of fluctuates. So getting a sense of what that feels like for you too throughout the week or throughout the month even can be super helpful. And then so when those take action decisions start to come in, um, you're more in the practice of observing your patterns, observing your energy, and then being able to feel more again. Is this my truth speaking? Is this my conditioning speaking? And that type of exploration. So, yeah, I feel like that's what I'll leave it at that for now. And hopefully that is helpful in some way. Okay, another question. Okay, if you're new to human design, what should I start with or focus on first, since there is a lot of parts of the chart? And would you answer change depending on energy type, or would you answer the same for each type? Okay, yes, there's definitely like a lot of different pieces and parts to the chart. I would definitely say everyone start with energy type. Start to understand, okay, I'm a manifesting generator. What does that mean? How does my energy want to flow and operate? And getting a sense and feel um, for what that experience is. So really those three pieces that we covered today, I would go to our YouTube or our blog and start looking at how can I go deeper into what this looks like in life? And I don't think it necessarily depends on if you're a projector, start here, if you're a reflector, start there. I really just think it's helpful for everyone to begin with that foundation. That's also why in our training we start there because we find that it helps most people really start to do that realignment process rather than focusing on, oh, I have this gate. What does that mean? It's like, well, that's not going to really serve you to understand what that gate means if you are still not like getting on that bike with those training wheels and coming back into your body. So, looking at energy tape, I think, is a great place to start. Okay. 3, 6 mental projector here. How can I trust that my perspective is valuable, even if I don't have energy like others? So this is a great question, and this is something that we see a lot of people grappling with, I would say, a lot of our projectors. That's why it's beautiful to watch them just become so empowered and trusting and having faith in their unique wisdom and design. And I would say, one, we can start to look at how that's a story, right? That you don't have the energy like others. We've been so taught as a society that you're only valuable if you have energy in this way. You're only valuable if you can, work this job Monday through Friday and then on the weekends also work on this and then, not need downtime or be tired after 3 hours of working or whatever narrative collectively is running the show. So I think knowing and coming back to your unique wisdom and trusting in the fact that as a projector, you're tapped into a way of seeing how all of this sacral energy is flowing in the world, which I find fascinating about our projectors, is often they can find the shortcuts, they can find the places that we overlook in this very like defined sacral energy flow. The open sacral has this gift of sort of saying, zoom out, wait, see what's happening here. Um, let's take a step back. Maybe we can do this in a different way. And knowing that there is such a value and necessity in that, especially when it comes to guiding other people, being able to really be tuned in to what might be not spoken, what might be just felt or really sensed on a different plane of energy, so to say. And so I think it definitely takes time again and practice to come back to that remembrance and even feeling what that's like for you as a projector of saying, where does my wisdom speak? Where does my intuition speak? And could that be my brilliance that has just not had a chance to fully shine yet, that has not just had a chance to be reflected back to me yet? But once you start feeling it and sensing it, um, and continuing to rewrite that story that we all have to do, right? Of it's not valuable if I'm not doing it this way, if I'm not doing it that way. Um, so yes, and that's another thing we talk about too is our open sacral beings, you still have energy. It is different. It is, and often it's in different patterns than what the world has been demonstrating and showing. So it is a journey. It is an inner journey, but I can tell you having people who see you in that and support you in that rediscovery is so powerful. So beautiful question. Okay, let's see. Should I do certification if I don't plan on having a business right now? I really just want to learn about my chart and family's charts. Yeah, I would say that is a lot of how most people get started in our community is um, doing the work and the journey for themselves or for people that you love and you're close to. And it's a process and it takes time of like, let's realign. Let me come back to who I am. Let me come back to the true story that I want to tell about myself. And if you don't have business plans or plan to work with other people in that way, it's still very valuable for your own personal journey and for, like you said, family, friends, people who might be able to, just benefit from you being that space holder, that safe person who can actually see and witness other people in a way that they don't have the language for or they don't have the information or understanding of. So that is a huge gift that you can give other people and to yourself. And I think everyone starts there, and we encourage you to. So yes, join us. 22% off. Okay, maybe one more question. Okay, it's hard to get past the idea that waiting sounds limiting. Yes, it is. You said all types have to wait. How can that be a positive thing? This is a great question. So, what I've actually found, and again, I think this just comes from the journey of trusting in your design, trusting in life, is that we start to see how waiting is actually very protective to your energy and your preciousness and the work that you're here to do in the world. And because it's built in as a part of all of the strategies, I think it actually gives you a chance to come back and recalibrate to your truth, as opposed to think about how scattered it feels when you're constantly in that feeling of, I gotta do this, I have to do this, I want to start this idea, I don't know if this is right for me. It's like almost like choice overload, crisis overload of so many different options and possibilities. But if you're looking at it as, oh, I'm here to wait to respond, or I'm here to wait for the invitation, I'm here to wait for a lunar cycle, I'm here to wait until I get that inner click, it like funnels that down almost between where you should put your energy and focus, and gives you an opportunity to again come into the body, get reconnected to your truth, and see how life actually invites us into cycles and seasons of waiting, whether that's you're doing some healing, right? You're healing from burnout, you're healing from just having a baby, you're healing from a romantic relationship breakup. You'll see how there's actually so many times in life where we do just need to wait and give ourselves a chance to wait and come into the present moment again. So I think it's definitely a big reframe for the mind that's like so used to just doing this and looking outside at what do I do next. But when you come back internally and say, okay, I know I'm designed to wait, that is something I can have faith in, I can have trust in that. And in the meantime, I get to work on myself. I get to have fun. I get to take care of my body. I get to read about things that I love and start to trust my creative power again. I think that's where um, the the gift can be seen and waiting sometimes. So, okay, I do recognize we're at time for today. So I just again thank you guys for joining us and just sticking with me here as I've stepped in for Dr. Karen, and she's just I know she's like sending all of you all the love and um resources here if you want to be on Circle with us or join us in training, um or just listen to more on YouTube. And thank you for joining us today and being here. And we hope to see you in some space soon.